Channel your local forecast. Weather Scope.
It's Tropical Storm Danny is spinning in the Gulf of Mexico. That has folks on the coastline a little nervous today. It is drifting slowly toward the Louisiana shoreline. Good afternoon, I'm Jill Brown.
I'm Rich Johnson. In addition, severe weather continues to plague some parts of the central U.S., including a new severe weather watch for Montana. For details on these stories, here's Bob Stokes in our Forecast Center.
Thank you, Rich and Jill. Yes, Tropical Storm Danny is headed for the Gulf Coast. When is still a question mark because if it continues on its present track, it could reach land between midnight and daybreak. But if it slows down, and it has been slowing, it's been meandering, it could be later in the day tomorrow. In the meantime, tropical storm warning is in effect across the central Gulf Coast and a hurricane watch as well. Here's the coordinates on Tropical Storm Danny, 28.7 north latitude, 90.9 west longitude. The center 110 miles to the south-southwest of New Orleans, which is under sea level. That means we're concerned about flooding and heavy rainfall. Winds 60 miles per hour around the center, moving toward the northeast at 5 miles per hour. Joining us is hurricane specialist John Hope, and with the take on Tropical Storm Danny. John, what do you make of the present situation?
Well, we've been watching it very carefully this afternoon, Bob, and it doesn't seem to be intensifying much, and it does not seem to be moving much. The movement's been very, very slow, and as you pointed out, that makes the time of landfall of the center pretty uncertain. But sometime late tonight or early tomorrow looks like the best bet right now. But it may skim along the coast for quite a while, stay very close to the coast.
Right. Now, because it's close to the coast, that does not bode well for strengthening, but the warmer waters do. Which will win out?
Well,
is that speculation?
We don't normally see them strengthen very much, anything that's that close to the coast, but it's not on shore. And as you point out, the water is very warm, 85 or 86 degrees Fahrenheit out there, and that can provide a whole lot of energy for this storm.
All right, well, let's take a look at the visible picture, if we may, of what's going on across the tropical storm now. You can see very good symmetry and circulation, John.
Now, the center is not where you see this open space coming around the east side, but it's more back in this area, and that's where the center circulation is. We don't see any eye there at all. We can't see the eye either on this picture or on the infrared picture. Shall we take a look at the infrared picture and show the folks that? Now, this one here shows where the highest thunderstorms are, and they've not quite as many buildups as we saw earlier, but very good symmetry we see around here, and we can see some banding. So it is at least holding its own. The pressure is staying about the same, 1,001 millibars, And the potential here, Bob, as you know, for very, very heavy rains later on.
Indeed, we're concerned about once it goes onshore, the heavy rains inland, so please be prepared, weekend travelers. Yes, a tropical storm warning is in effect. And John, could you define a warning for us?
Well, the warning means that tropical storm force winds, that is winds above 40 miles an hour, are imminent over some of this area. Probably wouldn't include the whole area, but because of the uncertainty, with the warnings extend all the way from Cameron over to the Alabama border. But nearer where the center is and to the right of that, as it moves along, is where the tropical storm force winds are most likely to occur. We have an oil rig down there in the Gulf a little bit south of where the center is now that just has had gusts up to 70 miles per hour.
And it takes 4 more miles per hour, I mean sustained winds, to become a hurricane.
Right.
And in fact, there is a hurricane watch. That means there's a possibility of the development of hurricane force winds. Also, the storm surge, a possibility. We could see 4 to 8 feet above normal tides, John.
And that's along and to the right of the area where the center is expected to be crossing the coast. And that could cause quite a bit of road flooding down in southeast Louisiana, we think.
Okay. As we take a look at the radar picture, you can see the northern periphery of Tropical Storm Danny and the rainfall it is bringing. We could see some 5 to 10 inches of rain, John.
Right, and we can just see where the center of circulation is there on the radar better than we can on the satellite picture. Yes, after all is said and done, over the next few days, 5 to 10 inches of rain along the path of the storm as it moves inland would not be a bit surprising.
As you very well know, we have tropical depression number 5. The center, 35 miles per hour is the rotational winds, centered 475 miles to the east of the Windward Islands, moving toward the west-northwest at 14. And John, you mentioned earlier this could already be a tropical storm.
Well, we don't know that it is for sure, but it certainly seems to be getting better organized, and it's probably only 300 and some miles now from the islands, and we're afraid this is going to get quite a bit stronger before it does get to the islands.
Okay, we'll be watching that depression very carefully, and as John mentioned, it could be a tropical storm, but we're not sure. Definitely we're going to be watching Tropical Storm Danny.
The reconnaissance aircraft will be in there in about an hour.
Okay, we'll get some information from that recon flight. Thank you very much. Well, we have some severe weather to talk about across the lower 48. We've seen severe weather across New York and Oklahoma. Thunderstorms pounded north central Oklahoma last night. These storms led to heavy rain and in some locales, flooding. These pictures were taken in the community of Tonkawa, Oklahoma. The storms have moved out of this area now. More expected. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at the strong storm potential across Tulsa, getting into Oklahoma City, and then severe weather possible in New York to the Great Lakes. There's a look now at the cyclonic circulation. You can see it clearly, the counterclockwise flow. In fact, Ofuskee County under a flood warning in Oklahoma. You've seen excessive amounts of rain. The bad news is this system is stationary. It's not moving, so the rain is falling on top of rain. The grounds are saturated. You've seen 4 to 5 inches of rain, and we do have